Hello students and welcome to Math Weekly's number 12.
In this Math Weekly, our focus skill will be on rational number operations. Rational numbers, by definition, are the set of all numbers that can be represented by our world's phenomena. This includes fractions, integers, decimals that repeat, decimals that terminate, and also perfect square roots, which will not be addressed in this Math Weekly. Specifically in this video, I'm going to review the basics of how to add fractions, how to add mixed numbers, how to subtract fractions, subtract mixed numbers, multiply fractions and mixed numbers, divide fractions and mixed numbers, add decimals, subtract decimals, multiply decimals, divide decimals, add integers, subtract integers, multiply integers, and divide integers. This is a lot because in this Math Weekly, you're seeing all four operations with all types of real numbers. So you are welcome to skip to the parts of the video that you need most based on what you see on your Math Weekly. So we're going to begin with how to add fractions. Here are the steps. First, get common denominators. Second, add the numerators. Third, keep the denominator. The denominator describes the size of the pieces. Ask yourself when you're finished, is my fraction improper? And if so, convert the fraction to a mixed number. Also ask yourself, can my fraction reduce? And if so, reduce the fraction by a common factor. Let's do an example to show you how to add fractions. So let's look at an example of how to add fractions. As you can see in this example, we have 6/8 plus 1/2. These are two different denominators. So step one is to get common denominators. The least common multiple of 2 and 8 is 8. So leave 6/8 as it is and change 1/2 into eighths. So if you split the halves into eighths, the pieces will be 4 times smaller than they were previously. So your one piece gets 4 times smaller, which gives you 4 small pieces. Now you can add by adding the numerators. 6/8 plus 4/8 makes 10 pieces, and the bottom stays the same number because it takes 8 pieces to make a whole. Now ask yourself, is this fraction improper? And the answer is yes, because the top value is more than the bottom value. The bottom value tells you how many pieces it takes to make a whole. So it takes 8 pieces, so I'm going to take away 8 pieces to make one whole. And that leaves 2 pieces left, and it takes 8 pieces to make a whole. So 10/8 is the same as 1 and 2/8. 2/8 will reduce by 2 to give us 1 and 1/4. So 6/8 plus 1/2 is 1 and 1/4. Our next skill is how to add mixed numbers. Here are our steps. Line up the whole numbers and fractions. Focus on the fractions first. Add the fractions. Regroup the resulting fraction if the fraction is an improper fraction. Add the whole numbers, and then ask yourself, can my fraction of my answer reduce? And if so, reduce the fraction. So here's an example. So our first step is to take this horizontal problem and write it vertically so that we are lining up the whole numbers, which are 2 and 6, and the fractions, which are 3/4 and 3/5. To add these, we need common denominators. The least common multiple of fourths and fifths is 20ths. So we're going to try to get this to 2 and so many 20ths and 6 and so many 20ths. Well, if you take fourths and make them into 20ths, the pieces get 5 times smaller, so those 3 pieces that we have become 15 pieces. If we take the fifths and make them into 20ths, the pieces get 4 times smaller, so those 3 pieces become 12 pieces because 3 times 4 makes 12. Now we focus on the fractions first. So 15 twentieths plus 12 twentieths makes 27 twentieths. Now because 27 twentieths is improper, we're going to subtract 20 pieces and that will make one whole. But instead of putting a 1 like we did with our fractions problem, we're going to carry it up here in our whole number column. 27, take away the 20 pieces that it takes to make the whole, leaves us with 7 twentieths left over. And then add our whole numbers. 1 plus 2 makes 3, plus 6 makes 9. So it's 9 and 7 twentieths. And 7 twentieths will not reduce, so that is our final answer. Let's now look at how to subtract fractions. Our steps are to get common denominators, subtract the numerators, keep the denominator the same, the denominator describes the size of the pieces, and ask ourselves, can our fraction reduce? And if so, reduce the fraction by a common factor. So let's look at our example. We have 6/7 take away 2/3. And as you can see, our denominators are not the same. Sevenths are not the same size as thirds. The least common multiple of sevenths and thirds is 21st, or 21 pieces. If we take sevenths and split them into 21 pieces, the pieces become 3 times smaller. So the 6 pieces that we have times 3 gives us 18 small pieces. The thirds that we had get 7 times smaller to get to 21st. So 2 times 7 makes 14. And now we need to subtract. Subtract the numerators. 18 minus 14 makes 4. And the denominator stays the same because that's the size of the pieces. So there'll be 4 21st left over. Now let's transition to how to subtract mixed numbers. First, line up the whole numbers and the fractions. Focus on the fractions first. Subtract the fractions. Be sure to get common denominators. However, if the top fraction is smaller than the bottom fraction, regroup one whole into pieces. Be sure to use the denominator as the amount being regrouped. Subtract the whole numbers and then ask yourself, can the fraction of my answer reduce? And if so, reduce the fraction. We're going to do 2 examples. We're going to do one that has no regrouping and one that has regrouping. So let's start with 6 3/4 take away 2 1/3. Because they do not have common denominators, our first step is to get common denominators, and the least common multiple of thirds and fourths is 12ths. If we take fourths and make them into 12ths, we would have to split them 3 ways each, or make the pieces 3 times smaller. So 3 times 3 is 9. If we take thirds and make them into 12ths, we'll have to make the pieces 4 times smaller. So our 1 piece becomes 4 times smaller, which gives us 4 pieces. 9 12ths minus 4 12ths makes 5 12ths. And 6 take away 2 makes 4. And this does not reduce, so 4 5 12ths is our final answer. Now let's look at an example with regrouping. So we have 5 1/2 take away 2 2/3. First step is we need to get common denominators. The least common multiple of 2 and 3 is 6. So we're going to change these to 6. If we take halves and make them into 6, the pieces get 3 times smaller. So 1 times 3 makes 3. If we take thirds and make them into 6, the pieces get 2 times smaller. 2 times 2 is 4. Now, as you can see, the top fraction is smaller than the bottom fraction. So if we have 3/6, we can't take away 4/6. So this is when we regroup. We cross out the 5 wholes and we make 4 wholes. We're going to take this 1 whole, bring it over here. How many pieces is in a whole? Well, there are 6 pieces in a whole, so we can add 6 extra pieces, which now gives us 9. Notice 9/6 is the same as 1 3/6, so that's why we said we borrowed 1 whole here. Now, 9 6 take away 4 6 makes 5 6, and 4 take away 2 makes 2. So this is 2 and 5 6. Our next step is on how to multiply fractions. If the multiplication problem has a mixed number, convert to an improper fraction. Multiply straight across, numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. Ask yourself, is the resulting amount improper? And if so, convert it to a mixed number. And then ask yourself, does the resulting fraction reduce? And if so, reduce the resulting fraction. So we're going to look at a fractions example and a mixed numbers example. For the fraction, multiply straight across. 2 times 3 makes 6. 3 times 4 makes 12. This is not an improper fraction, but it can reduce. Both of these can divide by 6 to make 1/2. So 2/3 of 3/4 is 1/2. Now for the mixed number example, we're going to first convert each mixed number back to an improper fraction. If two pieces make a whole and we have one whole, then that gives us 2 pieces, plus one more piece gives us 3 pieces where 2 make a whole. If 5 pieces make a whole and we have 3 wholes, that's 15 pieces, plus 4 more makes 19 pieces where 5 makes a whole. And now we need to multiply straight across. So we need to do 19 times 3, which is 57. So we have 57 over 2 times 5, which is 10. Now, this is an improper fraction, so we can divide to convert it back to a mixed number. The numerator always goes inside the divide box, and the denominator is always the divisor. So 10 goes into 57 5 times, which is 50. There are 7 pieces left over, so the 7 becomes the numerator of the mixed number, and the divisor becomes the denominator. So we get 5 7/10. So 1 1/2 times 3 4/5 is 5 7/10. Let's now look at how to divide fractions. If the division problem has a mixed number, convert to an improper fraction. Change the division symbol to a multiplication symbol, and change the second fraction to its reciprocal. Multiply straight across. Ask yourself, is the resulting amount improper? And if so, convert to a mixed number. And then ask yourself, does the resulting fraction reduce? And if so, reduce the resulting fraction. So let's look at 2 examples, and then we're going to stop this portion of the video and address all the other skills in the second part. So for the fractions example, we don't have any mixed numbers, so we're going to change the division sign to a multiplication sign, keep the first number the same, and do the reciprocal of the second, make it 4/3. Then multiply straight across. 2 times 4 makes 8, 3 times 3 makes 9. So this is equal to 8/9. For this example, we first have to convert to mixed numbers. So 2 pieces times 8 wholes makes 16 pieces, plus 1 more makes 17 pieces where 2 makes a whole. Divided by 3 pieces that make a whole times 1 whole makes 3 pieces, plus 2 extra is 5 pieces where 3 makes a whole. Change the division to multiplication and the second fraction to its reciprocal, which makes it 3/5. 17 times 3 makes 51. 2 times 5 makes 10. Make a divide box. 51 goes in the inside, 10 goes into 51 5 times, which is 50. There's 1 left over, so it's 5 1/10.